In this section, we're going to talk about sharing integration code. This is a difficult topic with a lot of different opinions out there. Some people argue you should never share any integration code, other people do it without thinking at all, and I will give you here advice what I think you should be doing in order to achieve success with your microservices. First, we're going to look at examples of different integration code. So often we have utility classes and libraries that are often bundled in one large dependency that is then shared across microservices. We may have critical components such as security layer, and often we are dealing with shared business logic, difficult business logic that we don't want to be writing all the time. So first of all, when dealing with utility libraries, it's really important to split them into small libraries. It will absolutely create huge amounts of technical debt if you have this one kind of service plugin or shared library or shared utility, however you call, and every microservice depends on that. You will end up with some sort of coupling hell. So definitely don't do that. And if you absolutely have to share libraries, I would say make sure that they're as small as possible. So it's doable. You can be successful, but you just have to be pragmatic. And only include these small dependencies when necessary. Don't just include everything everywhere, because even if you split successfully, if you're by default including everything, well, you still may be creating a lot of coupling. And code duplication here is acceptable. Actually, if you have some tiny piece of code, maybe it's actually easier to kind of duplicate that code rather than create a shared library. I leave it to you as to make a judgment call on that. Things such as security layer and kind of other critical components, sharing is much better than rewriting. You don't want to make mistakes there, and it can be extremely costly and dangerous to make mistakes in these critical components. However, I would say there is an opportunity often to move it out of a service. If you can put it somehow into your integration layer, it could be even better than creating a library. In microservices people talk about dumb pipes, but what they really mean is that, or what they should mean is that you shouldn't have business logic in your integration layer, but it's okay for integration layer to do some of these cross-cutting concerns. And at least that's what Sam Newman said, and he's somewhat an authority on microservice architectures. It's interesting to point out that there is this idea of pattern of service mesh that is emerging, and I will talk in another lecture about that can actually take a lot of these security and critical components out of your service and deal with them for you. The last type of shared integration code here that I will talk about is the business logic. You may have some business logic specific to your application that you want to reuse, and that's fine, but it's always worth to make that decision. Should I be making it into a library, or should I use it or should I make it into a service? The microservices architecture is actually all about services, and that's your default unit of encapsulation. So I would say unless you have very good, very specific reasons of sharing your business logic via library, consider making a service. It will make the integration and coupling much less.